Hi, I'm Justin Ottavio, and welcome to Film Don't Lie from IronmanFootballBlog.com. You can check us out on YouTube, as you probably are right now, Twitter at IMFB_BLOG, and Facebook.com/IronmanFootballBlog. Today we're going to be discussing the college football programs that are in FBS from the state of Florida, and we're going to discuss one player from those programs' history who could come back and be part of that program right now and be a spark that each program would need. So our first look is going to be at the smaller schools, and then we're going to move on to the big three. So hopefully you can check us out and that you enjoy this video. The FIU Golden Panthers, the head football coach Butch Davis is there, and he's going to be looking for a household name, a playmaker. You know, back in his time in the University of Miami, he had Santana Moss for the 2000 season. Santana Moss from 97-2000, but 2000 season, Moss had his breakout year, right? He was an explosive playmaker. Looking back on that, I think Butch Davis could use TY Hilton. Hilton is still with the Indianapolis Colts. He started his career in 2012, and he's stuck with the Colts ever since. He's a four-time Pro Bowler. When Hilton was at FIU, he was a do-it-all kind of guy. So Hilton averaged 15.4 yards per catch, got 24 touchdowns from 2008 to 2011. He also ran 7 touchdowns, threw a touchdown, and returned 6 kicks for scores as well. And that is something that Butch Davis would really like to have in FIU to kind of put that spark and progress from 8 wins maybe to 10 like FAU did a year ago with Lane Kiffin. Speaking of the FAU Owls, Lane Kiffin might be an offensive guy by trade, but he got really used to having strong defenses while he was in Alabama. And his dad is Monty Kiffin, one of the most dominating, nastiest defenses in the history of the NFL was that Bucs group with Derek Brooks and John Lynch and Warren Sapp. So what could Lane be looking for? What about Trey Hendrickson? He could go back down to Boca and play defensive end. Hendrickson was there from 2013 to 2016, so he just missed the Lane train and logged 41 career tackles for loss, 29.5 career sacks. He's 6'4", 266-pound defensive end. Those kind of guys just don't fall the sky. The Apopka native here from in Orlando, Florida, was a third-rounder in 2017. He went to the Saints. He had 2 sacks as a rookie, which isn't anything great, but I could see Lane Kiffin really wanting to progress from that 10-win era and move himself maybe into even more of a national spotlight by having that elite pass rusher. As we kind of, progress in this, the South Florida Bulls. Charlie Strong, a defensive-minded coach, a defensive coordinator by nature, and those guys love pass rushers like we were saying about Monty Kiffin. And with the Bulls, they only had Jason Pierre-Paul for 1 season, but when he was there, he was an All-American. So a first-team consensus All-American during his junior year with the Bulls. USF actually climbed all the way up to second, in the country while JPP was there. And what did he do at his time in Tampa? Well, 45 tackles, 16.5 for a loss, 6.5 sacks, and even had an interception return for a touchdown. He showed that dynamic playmaking ability. And again, a tall, long, rangy defensive end with speed, something that you don't come by every day. He was the 15th overall pick in the 2010 NFL Draft. He has 58 career sacks in the NFL, part of a Super Bowl championship team with the Giants, and he's now going to be back in Tampa as part of the Bucs after a trade. Looking a little bit further, you're going, further east, you're looking at center of the state, looking at the Central Florida Knights. The Knights have a new head coach, an offensive-minded guy, Josh Heupel, who's the OC in Missouri. He was quarterback at Oklahoma with the Sooners under Bob Stoops. And so the Knights have a great young quarterback in Mackenzie Milton. So that's something that they don't need under Coach Heupel. But Heupel's going to want a star receiver. And UCF's Traquan Smith left early. He got 59 passes for 1,171 yards and 13 touchdowns a year ago. Well, if you're looking for playmaker speed, you look at UCF. What about Doug Gabriel? He was there from 2001 to 2002 at UCF, back when they were the Golden Knights, and played in downtown Orlando. Gabriel averaged 19.5 yards per catch in Gold and Black and caught 20 touchdowns in just 2 seasons. He was in Mike Kruzek's spread offense, which was a spread to throw, not quite up tempo. Back in that day, the quarterback was Ryan Schneider. So Gabriel was then drafted in the 5th round of the 2003 NFL Draft, and he hung around the league from 2003 to 2008, played in the arena leagues and CFL, UFL, and stuff like that. He scored 8 touchdowns in the National Football League. But a speedster, deep threat, something UCF could definitely use. We're going to take a look at the big three. With the big three, we're going to start off with the Florida Gators, so we'll go right in the middle of the state. The Gators have been lacking that franchise quarterback since Tim Tebow left after the 2009 season. You're not always going to have a Tim Tebow. You're not going to have a guy that's a Heisman Trophy winner, a 2-time national champion, and do the things that Tim Tebow was able to do and be a first-round draft pick. However, you're going to have to establish some kind of an offense. So who would you like to bring back? Tim Tebow. Tebow threw for 9,000 yards and 88 touchdowns, only 16 interceptions, averaging 9.3 yards per attempt. He ran for 2,900 yards and 57 more touchdowns on the ground, something that he established himself with in 2006. Serving kind of in a single wing role behind Chris Leak. As Leak graduated and the Gators won the championship, Tebow became the full-time starter for sophomore, junior, and senior seasons. They were a dominant presence around college football. If Alex Smith put Urban Meyer on the map and got him the Florida job, Tim Tebow put him into Ohio State. Is kind of turning him into legendary status. He's got 3 national championships now. So, what can the Gators, what do they need most? It's the quarterback position. It's that leadership and, the ability to move the football with a consistent basis. If you saw the game against Michigan last year in 2017, all those interceptions were for naught in the sense that Florida couldn't move the ball on offense and Michigan kind of snuck away with a win at the end. Tim Tebow might have had a lackluster pro career. He's now playing minor league baseball, but there's no doubt that, during his time in college football, he was a dominant performer. We scroll down, we're going to look up north. We're going to go to Tallahassee and look at the Florida State Seminoles. The Noles have had good quarterback play, unlike the Florida Gators. Jameis Winston, a Heisman Trophy, national championship in 2013. And DeAndre Francois, his redshirt freshman season 2016 wasn't bad either. But he was injured to start the 2017 season. That left James Blackman in a really strange position as he was undersized and young, inexperienced. And Jimbo Fisher was kind of pushing himself out the door there. It was kind of an aborted season, by about midway through the year. But I think Blackman has the ability to turn into a great quarterback. But what can you do without a pass-catching weapon around you? I think that weapon from Florida State history would be Peter Warrick. Warrick played at wide receiver at FSU from 96 to 99 and averaged 17 yards per catch while hauling in 32 touchdowns. He also ran 4 more touchdowns, scored twice on punt returns, and threw 2 touchdowns while in the FSU Garnet and Gold. Warrick was a 2-time consensus All-American and a 3-time All-ACC player. Warrick was a 4th overall pick of the 2000 NFL Draft, and that might have been a little bit of an overshot there from the Cincinnati Bengals. He hung around from 2000 to 2005. Stayed around playing in the B leagues until 2011. He had 18 career touchdowns in the NFL. But he was national champion in 1999 with Chris Winkie at quarterback, Bobby Bowden as the head coach. That's definitely something that Florida State could use, would be that elite playmaker. The Miami Hurricanes are another team that we're going to take a look at as we go all the way down south in this video. It's going to be a quick one today. The Hurricanes have managed 9 and 10 wins under Mark Richt now that he's in Coral Gables. Was fired out of Athens in Georgia. And Mark Richt may not want a true kind of statue pocket passer. That's why things didn't work out that well with Brad Kyle. But I think there's a difference between a Brad Kyle and a Ken Dorsey. So Ken Dorsey is the guy that I would bring back to the Miami Hurricanes to play the quarterback position for Mark Richt here in 2018. What did Dorsey do? He won 32 games as a starter from 1999 through 2002. Was 2001 national champion. Was held out of the 2000 national championship game in a strange controversy where Florida State got back in and lost 2002 national championship on a strange penalty. Dorsey threw for 9,000 yards and 86 touchdowns for the Hurricanes. He didn't have that stellar of a pro career, but he'll forever be in Hurricane lore with the 2004 State game having the drive with the touchdown to Jeremy Shockey for the go-ahead. Dorsey was only a 7th-round pick, unlike Tim Tebow, who was a first-rounder. He hung around the NFL from 2003 to 2008, was in the CFL for the 2010 season. He's been a high school coach and NFL scout. He was also Cam Newton's quarterback coach at Carolina, helping them progress into the Super Bowl, and is now the assistant AD at FIU down in Miami. So those are the guys throughout the history of the different Florida teams where they could plug that guy in right now and see how that player could make an instant impact and turn them into maybe just rising the bar a little bit. Miami goes from a 10-win team into ACC champion. Maybe Florida State, can overcome Clemson and take the Atlantic, where Florida could possibly get back into the SEC East race and back in the SEC championship game. Not that Jim McElwain didn't have him there, it just didn't seem like a viable competitor to Alabama. Can UCF continue on their obvious positive upward swing? There's not too much more room to go from 13-0, upward, but can they continue to keep that going? Maybe they could with an elite deep threat. USF, they have that elite pass rusher? Are they able to challenge UCF for the AAC championship? And then FIU, Butch is now playing second fiddle to Lane. And for Lane, can you replicate your 10-win season? Yeah, maybe with a guy that had 41 career tackles for loss and almost 30 sacks, sure. And for Butch, how do you overarch yourself over Lane Kiffin? So I think that's a pretty interesting thing to think about, the best player that could fit in right now from the history of, Florida area collegiate athletics. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, it's IronmanFootballBlog.com. I'm Justin Ottavio. This is Film Don't Lie. Check us out on Twitter at IMFB_BLOG. Thank you.